Welcome to another edition of Mailbag. And right up front, if you're sitting there thinking, I watched that video the other day, the reason is because I'm recording one block header for all the Mailbag items I'm going to be filming this afternoon. I was filming outside in the workshop, but it's got too cold, so I've moved inside to the orange corner. So here we go. Now remember, Mailbag are questions, comments, and various other things that you guys leave on the channel or you email me directly that I think are worth airing. So before we get going, parish notices. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? Tell your friends, tell the street, tell the world, get them to subscribe. I jest. But if you seriously haven't subscribed to the channel and you like videos about this sort of stuff and musical equipment in general, then subscribe. If you want to be notified when those sort of videos hit the channel, you really need to press that bell icon as well. If you like the content of the video, give it a thumbs up. Down below, leave comments. I do read the comments, I respond to the comments, and sometimes I even make videos about the comments you guys leave, so they give me ideas about future content for the channel. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can support the channel and support the production of videos. The address of the TMTG community is down the bottom there, as are the Facebook and Instagram feeds, where all the channel notices during the week are posted. And obviously the release of videos is posted over there as well. But now, back to the next mailbag item. Okay, this one comes from Holtz Hauser. Are you German by any chance? In response to how to back and restore patches on the Roland System-1, a video I did in September 2020. He writes, I'm sorry to have to question too, but I can't find the answer. I have bought System-1 with plug-outs, but do not own one of them. Can I update or will I lose the plug-outs, possibly to store it without owning? Hopefully you can help. Afraid of connecting to PC. Simple. Holtz, this is not an uncommon problem and not an uncommon question either. A question that I have had debates on the channel with and in private chat in the past, because people have said, well, my understanding is wrong, and I've said my understanding is right. Basically, are that the plug-outs are bought. Okay, on the System 1 and System 8, if they don't come as standard with the base build, they're bought. And you have to buy them through a Roland subscription, which means you have to have an account on the Roland cloud. It was called other things in the past, by the way, so you know it's now called the Roland Cloud, but in the past it has been something different. The plugouts are therefore tied to the subscription account that's being used. So hopefully that makes sense. And per Roland's latest T's and C's, which actually have been the same for a number of years now, they're not transferable. And one of the things I see quite often when these things are being sold on eBay is the fact that a seller will list TR8 with this plug out, but it's probably not TR8, System 1 with the ProMars plug out, for argument's sake. Okay, and in a way that's true, because it will be loaded on the instrument and remain loaded on the instrument when it's sent to you. So you will be able to use the plug out. There's no if, buts or maybes, you will be able to use the plug out when you get the instrument. The wrinkle is if you're forced to do a factory reset, because if you're forced to do a factory reset, it will reset the System 1 back to how it came out of the factory without that plug out loaded. And that's where the problem comes, because you won't have access. You'll have to go and buy the subscription again to be able to reload that plug out onto your System 1. And this is the bit that most people don't really understand, is the fact that a factory reset will put the machine back to factory. Now on the System 8, for argument's sake, the factory position is System 8, 106, Jupiter 8. Okay, that's the factory position. So if you buy a System 8 and you reset to factory, you will always have those three synth engines. On the System-1, it's not the same, because the System-1 was sold with System-1, and the ProMars and the SH101, etc., were all sold as optional purchases. And that is where basically where we are at the moment, is it's an optional purchase. So I've had an argument on the channel before and in private chat with people who said, oh, you just sell the subscription account. Well, that's all well and good, but if you've got other things in your Roland subscription account, such as the right to use virtual synths, for argument's sake, when you pass your subscription account over to somebody else, they get it. Plus the fact you've also got who pays for it, because the subscription account is a subscription account. So somebody has to pay for it. So if you cancel your direct debit to the subscription account, somebody's still got to pay for the subscription, irrelevant who actually owns the login information for the account. Now, if you do pass your subscription account to somebody else, you are of course breaking the T's and C's of the Roland Cloud. So just be they get you on all angles here. If you update the firmware on one of these machines, you will not lose, in general, and I'm using a caveat here, any plugouts you have loaded on that machine, unless the firmware upgrade asks you to do a factory reset. Now, sometimes it will ask you to do that, and that's kind of where it gets it's important at that point that you do understand what plugouts you've got installed on that, because obviously when you do a factory reset, it's going to put it back to factory. Now, most firmware upgrades, all the minor point releases that have happened, have not required you to do a firmware upgrade. There is an exception, and that's one of the upgrades on the System 8, because if you buy a base System 8 that didn't have the 106 loaded on it, then they issued that as a firmware upgrade. In order to get the 106 to load, you had to do a factory reset, because the firmware rewrote the factory portion of the ROM chip, reflashed it, and the only way to get the new engine loaded was actually to pull it from the factory ROM. So it's not quite as straightforward, but if you go into buying something with your eyes wide open, hopefully you won't be sold a pup. Hope that helps.